Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about tech trends in interior design from 2022 and beyond. So we're gonna be talking about those kind of home tech trends that are coming down the road here that are going to make sense and are worth considering. Now, this is not a tech channel, okay? So we're not looking at this as like what is sort of the cutting edge technology that's just super cool at the moment. We're looking at this also in terms of what can actually be integrated into your home in a thoughtful and considered way, because I think sometimes when things lean too techie, that's a good look that really a lot of people love, just isn't really for me. So I really wanted to make sure in this video that I was prioritizing technology that's actually going to work for you, but sort of blends into the background and looks, you know, a little bit, maybe even beautiful, dare I say. This is actually a lovely segue for me to talk about today's sponsor, which is LG CineBeam, who has recently launched this beautiful 4K ultra short throw projector. I love this recent trend of making electronics look good in our homes because I just feel like for the longest time, everything was just really silver and boxy, and then everything just became really black and boxy. LG CineBeam is not only compatible with the Apple HomeKit, but you can also enjoy various streaming services such as Netflix, Disney Plus in both a dark room and in an ambient space with the curtains closed. LG CineBeam seamlessly blends into your home decor, and it doesn't just eliminate something ugly, it actually looks good in your space as it is this really beautiful neutral color, this soft fabric, and sort of shares a really beautiful picture also, of course, when it is set up. It doesn't take up much room, but it produces up to 120-inch display, which is absolutely huge, and it's perfect for small spaces or for people that are looking for a way to project a high-quality 4K video onto a wall. It's flexible to move around, and it's really easy to put away once you're done using it. I love this focus from LG CineBeam on blending home technology with a home cinema experience, and I also love that LG is taking into consideration the aesthetics of the device itself. That's something really obviously valuable to me. More details about the LG CineBeam 4K projector are in the description. Now let's get back to some of those other home tech trends that I'm seeing coming down the road. Okay, so the first tech trend that is worth talking about that I'm seeing a lot of is human-centric lighting. So I first want to give a shout out to YouTube subscriber here, John, and he has been really great answering all my tech questions because he really like works in this sort of like lighting space. And so thank you, John, for answering all of my questions because I'm not an expert here. But he told me places like Lutron and even of course Dyson, I've actually talked about Dyson, they were a sponsor on my channel before, are two brands that I think have really done a great job of really highlighting the importance of human-centric lighting. So what do I mean by that? I mean lighting that is in tune with the circadian rhythm of your own body. So a typical light switch, you know, you flick it on, you flick it off when you need it. And that's been great for a very long time. But what we're seeing the technology trend now is for your lighting temperature to change throughout the day. So you might get more like blue light in the morning when you need it to sort of wake you up. But then like as the day moves on and you start to get into a sunset, you'll notice that the light starts to mimic a warmer tone, to mimic that of the sun. So if you think about it, for most of human existence, we have worked with the sun to be able to give us the right light that we need at different times of day. So to whether to wake up in the morning and give us energy or whether to wind down at the end of the day, that's really the circadian rhythm that your body naturally wants to move with. So I think it's really interesting that these lighting companies are starting to really play around with the lighting temperature changes and they automate all that for you. So it's all happening in the background so that you don't have to, you know, change out your light bulbs twice a day because no one's gonna do that. And so they can adjust the temperature of the light in order to give your body what it needs throughout the day. I think that's very, very cool. It's also really interesting because you're able to program sort of different settings and different scenes. Lutron has a company called Ketra, I believe, which is really interesting and kind of doing a lot of really innovative things in this space where they're sort of able to change different scenes depending on what you're doing. So for example, if you're watching a movie, if it's like your morning and you're making coffee, if you're getting ready to go to bed, whatever, you can sort of set the scene automatically so that it gives you the right light bulbs are on at the right time, they're in the right color temperature, they're the right lumens, the right brightness, whatever, and you can sort of set the scenes kind of in your own custom way, depending on what your needs are. I think that there's just some really cool things that are happening with lighting just because you are seeing people understanding a little bit more about how our artificial light that we so rely on in our modern world isn't all that healthy for our bodies. And so using technology as a way to sort of become a little bit more in touch with our natural sort of circadian rhythm and giving us what we need at the right time using technology, which I think is super neat. Okay, the next home tech trend that I I am seeing is 3D printed decor. So 3D printing is really interesting. I find it very fascinating, but home decor is a fascinating new world of creating really interesting 3D printed shapes. So there's a couple of things that I think is really interesting about this trend of 3D printing. First of all, I think from a sustainability perspective, it's really cool for a couple of reasons. It's oftentimes able to be produced locally. So assuming that you find a home decor manufacturer that is local to you, they might be able to produce it locally as opposed to having it shipped in usually from a far off country. Obviously there's going to be greenhouse gases and environmental impact with things like shipping, as well as of course the labor impacts of having things being shipped in from all over the world, rather than kind of from places where in your own local community. So I think 3D printing gives you an opportunity to sort of manufacturing some home decor locally. So I think if sustainability really matters to you, and it should, then that's kind of really cool trend in 3D printing, is that you can have it printed closer to home. I think what's also really interesting from a sustainability perspective is that with conventional sort of typical manufacturing, there's oftentimes going to be a lot more waste that's done at the manufacturing site. While with 3D printing, you really only print what you need, right? So as opposed to being able to, you know, make 10,000 of the same things, you're potentially able to just make exactly what you need in order to ship out based on the sales. And I think if what this pandemic has sort of also shown us is that, you know, logistics around the world, global logistics have really been disrupted through the supply chain and all that stuff, which has meant, you know, people seeing huge delays over getting some of their decor or some of their furniture or whatever from far off countries. And I think if we're 3D printing closer to where you live, you're actually able to print something and you're able to actually get your decor much faster than you would through conventional manufacturing overseas. So there's a lot of like really cool, I think, impacts of how home decor can be changed with 3D printing. So there's huge potential there in terms of being able to customize something that fits your needs. With manufacturing, that's sort of baked in, right? Back in the Henry Ford days, right? Like you can't really manufacture at scale something that is really unique and interesting. Check out IKEA. There's a reason why the Lak Table is $10, because they make a billion of them. Well, that means then that everybody has a Lak Table, which means everybody's stuff is gonna look the same. So I think the trend of 3D printing is also super interesting just because you're able to get something maybe a little bit more unique and a little bit more customized to exactly what you want. For the immediate term, 3D printing decor is definitely here, and some of the pieces actually look really cool. Okay, next home decor tech trend I want to talk about is invisible home audio. I feel like audio is one of those ones that really gets dated, right? Like, do you remember those like giant stacks? You probably have one in your house, don't you? I'm gonna call you out. Here you go. You know those like stacks of like where you got like the CD, you know, maybe got 6 CD changer or whatever, and you got little, it's like built right into the system. Or maybe you've got those speakers that are like built into your ceiling that were really super amazing in 2004 and really cutting edge and very high end and very fancy and expensive. Maybe the audio from like a quality perspective is not there, from an aesthetics it's not there, or sometimes just no one really has CDs anymore. Well, maybe some people have CDs still, of course, but most people have moved on to like streaming. And so, you know, those devices that are there that are honestly sometimes like built into your space, they're just not really as cool anymore. So I think what I like to see with this new audio trend that's happening is you're able to sort of swap out some of those speakers. So as the technology improves, they're not so built in to the space. You're not committed to having the same speaker system for the next 20, 30 years. And it's gonna be an absolute nightmare to rip it out. And potentially once you do rip it out, you've now got a big hole that you're gonna have to fill, which means you're basically looking at quite a project. So I think the new trend is definitely moving towards sort of invisible speakers that are a little bit more blended into the space and a little bit more hidden, but can be removed very quickly and easily. So speakers can get very good audio, but they can get it really small, so you can sort of tuck them in and hide them in your space, and I think that's really neat. Also, when talking about invisible audio, the other trend that I'm seeing is speakers being put into items that are actually functional in your space. So IKEA is doing a really great job with this by building speakers with their collaboration with Sonos into shelving units, into lots of different types of lamps, into art. So that's another example of hidden audio really being a hot trend right now. And just like we talked about with the lighting earlier, you're definitely seeing the trend with audio also moving towards being able to custom presets and different themes that make sense depending on what you're doing. So if you're having a party and you want all your speakers on all over the house, definitely the trend is towards being able to set that scene depending on, you know, what you need, or if you want to turn audio off in, you know, the kids' room, but you want to put audio on in the kitchen and the living room, maybe where you have the party, you can do that now. It's just a click of the button. It's a lot easier to work with. I love where audio is going. I think it's really interesting to see more customization for people. But again, what I'm really looking for is also that trend towards hidden audio, so it sort of blends in with the rest of its surroundings, and it's not an absolute nightmare to change out when inevitably speaker systems are going to get smaller, more powerful, and better integrated. Okay, the next home tech trend I want to talk about is smart home appliances. So this is something that has been around for a little while and continues to improve. The challenge with some of these is that they're really sort of built into the home, and that can pose itself to be a challenge, but it's maybe perhaps a little bit of a necessary evil at this point, because appliances are often going to be just like custom and built into a kitchen or a laundry room or whatever. But there's definitely been advancements in terms of being able to make sure that your coffee machine and all your different sort of appliances that you're using in your home, they could be on timers so that you're able to get your coffee specifically at a certain time of day. So there's definitely been this trend towards making these smart appliances work a little bit more into your schedule so that you don't necessarily have to turn all this stuff on when you need it, but that it's actually there for you when you're going to be looking at it. There's definitely also smart plugs that are worth considering. I have one in my kitchen so that my coffee machine turns off in the evening and then it turns on in the morning because it's better for the coffee machine. So, you know, these different plugs where you can turn practically any appliance into a smart appliance, I think are really cool. Definitely a little thing that makes a really big difference to just make sure that the things are on and needed when you need them. And those can turn anything from a fan to, like I said, a coffee machine. They can turn whatever you want into a smart device so that it's there when you need it. And I think that's great. Now, I'm also gonna add, because I'm a little bit of a skeptic, as you know, when it comes to technology sometimes. I love technology. I just wanna make sure that when it changes, it's not gonna be like permanent and that it's not ugly, because I don't want ugly things, even if they are the new tech thing. Do you know what I mean? Here's one that I don't love is like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't love refrigerators with the TV screens on the front. That shouldn't surprise you, but maybe it does. I don't know, maybe you have one, sorry. But like, I don't love the ones where it really changes the aesthetics. I don't need, you know what I can do to know what's in my fridge? I can open the door. I don't need the TV screen telling me what's inside the fridge. That seems a bit stupid to me. But what are kind of neat is this move towards putting cameras inside the fridge. So you're like, oh, do I have eggs at home? I can't remember if I have eggs at home. I'm at the grocery store. What am I gonna do? I know, open my app on my phone and see what's happening inside my fridge to see if I have eggs there. I mean, look, it's a trend. It's this stuff that's definitely moving towards that. Is it a little bit more convenient? Sure, sometimes it might help you out of a bit of a bind. I don't have those myself. Let me know in the comments if you do. I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts about some of these things. You know, sometimes I do get it. Sometimes I buy something at the grocery store and I get home and I'm like, ah, crap, I already have one of those. Which I guess those things would kind of help, but that's definitely the trend where these things are going. These device manufacturers are trying to look for ways to make things a little bit easier for you, but sometimes I find the ways they're trying to make things look a little bit easier for you are A, ugly, and B, not that helpful. So there are a couple of things that I'm a little bit of a skeptic on, some of those things that might be interesting, but definitely this is one of the trends that's moving forward. You're gonna see more and more of this for every device in your house. Quick word real quick though on accessibility I wanna talk about here, because really quick, I don't know if you know Molly Burke. She's a creator here on YouTube and she is blind, and she talks about some of the challenges that she has being a blind person. I find it really fascinating because she mentioned in a very emotional recent video about doing a renovation on appliances and how difficult it was to find things with tactile knobs because everything is sliders now and everything is touch. And I was really honestly quite touched because when I watched her video, it's something that a perspective I never really thought of because, you know, what do any of us know about shoes that we've never walked in, right? Like we can't oftentimes, it's hard for us to visualize or to experience what that would feel like. So, you know, I do think there's a word of caution to these manufacturers are creating all these really beautiful, amazing tools that are there to help us, that we have to be careful, I think, to really do that without leaving people behind. And I think that that's really important. And so thank you, Molly, for addressing that in a recent video, because I think it's really important to note that not everybody can use some of these smart tools in the future. And I wanna see these new trends also work for everybody. Hopefully there's gonna be more solutions coming down the road as we create kind of more awareness of this issue, and hopefully you can find something that's gonna work for you in the meantime. So thanks for that. Okay, and then the next tech trend I wanna talk about is going to be really quick, intelligent curtains. So a lot of this is gonna be similar to the lighting and the audio that we talked about earlier, but definitely seeing the trend towards blinds that are either connected to a space or automatically, as I said earlier, synced with the time of day or different scenes that you wanna create. Even actually in this home right here, the blinds that I have over there, those are actually synced to a panel system, so I don't actually have to, manually do it. You can just press the button and it works. Again, the previous owner actually installed those and they did them with a wall panel that has little up and down arrows. Would I rather it just strictly be an app so that I don't have that super going to be dated soon wall panel? Yes, if it was me, that would have been my preference. And those systems are out there, but it is actually quite convenient just to be able to press a bunch of buttons to talk to your Google Assistant or to talk to whatever to be able to get what you need. Or you can actually set them up so they automatically adjust depending on the time of day or the circumstances or scenes that you choose to set that you can customize yourself. Okay, so that's it for me for today, you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to another video for you to check out, and I'm going to link to the LG. Thank you, LG, for sponsoring this video. And I'm also gonna link to Molly's video down below so you can check that out. It's really interesting and just compelling to hear her story. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Bye.